Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Okay, this recording is coming a little bit late, and the reason for that is I don't know, my computer was going out on the fritz. I was already getting kind of close to the end of Shabbat last few hours before it was over. And then for whatever reason, my computer just, I don't know, started glitching on me. So pretty much a whole hour of the recording was all, for nothing. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a summary of the Torah portion and the reading for this weekend, and just kind of compressed it down to a small little summary. But it's better than nothing, and we do need to share the word and get this out there. And of course, I'm not going to give up on getting the word out. Anyways, happy 4th of July to everybody. 250 years in this country. Um, there, I gave like a long 20-minute speech on the difference between today and then the country that we grew up when we were younger, for those that are my age that grew up before the internet and that understand the change in the culture and the wickedness that has engulfed the world, this country, and even our own neighborhoods and inside of our own homes. And despite of our imperfections as a country and being taken over by crazy satanic elites over the past 150 years, where they implemented the plan to create a one world government. And we're seeing all of that coming to fruition today. Order ab chao. They want to be the phoenix rising from the ashes, destroy the old to create the new. And they have inverted everything, just like in the philosophy of Thelema, Aleister Crowley. They've inverted everything. So it's like in the Word where it talks about people are going to call good evil and evil good. Well, we're living in those days. And I was going on to say about the changes in people, despite our perfections. It was a whole different world then. We all had we all shared a lot of the same beliefs, the same culture, the same interests, and despite our differences, we still came together as a nation. Well, those days are long gone. They've turned us all against each other. They've moved the Overton window so far to the left, and they captured so many through propaganda and brainwashing. And I was going on to say, too, is that I wonder how angry God is right now, looking at this world and this country, because that's why Western civilization prospered the way it did, is because of Christianity. Despite the Catholic Church's infractions, its violations, its blasphemy towards God, it still spread the word of God. Despite its imperfections, the same thing with the Protestants, the Diet Catholics. The word of God was everywhere, and lots of people were converted, got to know God through these imperfect and corrupt systems. But now we have strayed so far from that. And you think back to like Sodom and Gomorrah, the time before the flood, um, different points in history where his wrath and his anger grew. I just wonder how he's looking at it today. And I was also going on to say about how we look at history and we think, what would we do if we were born back then? I wouldn't have gone along with that. I wouldn't have allowed this to happen. I would have stood up. I would have done what's right. Well, guess what? You're living in one of those times right now. You're living in one of the most important time periods in history. God has placed you here for a purpose. And when they write the history books, if there are even history books to be written in the future, being AI and the way they control everything digital now, anyways, they're getting rid of everything physical. Statues are being torn down, monuments. Shoot, they're even getting rid of physical video games, for crying out loud. They want to be able to have control over everything. Everything has planned obsolescence. It's all about control, but I don't mean to get off on a long rant about that, but how do you want your name to be remembered? How do you want those in the future to look back at this time? What did you do? I sum it all up to say is you're at a pivotal point right now. If you want to lose your country, sit back, do nothing, continue what you're doing. You want to save it, you want to restore God to the nation, then do something about it. Doesn't mean you have to pick up arms. Doesn't mean you have to fight the battle, which some are going to have to do that. And you better train your children up to do that because it's inevitable. You can't rely on politicians, church leaders, nothing to do anything. They've all betrayed us. However, use your voice, your skills. If you're an entrepreneur, a businessman, you own a business, find a small way to contribute for the Lord, to build up, to create something for Him, to fight this battle. If you have the gift of gab, you're good at BSing people, making conversation, bring up God. Find a way, educate people, wake them up. If you got skills, some kind of talent, whatever it may be, contribute, do something. Do not sit back and be idle. Fight. Fight for your country. Fight for your God. Fight for your children. Fight for the generations that are to come. Because we will not be here to see the end of this battle. Whether it's a victory or a loss. We are training up a generation that hopefully will see victory that we will never ever see. And what we do now is important for their future. So let's do everything that we can. Happy 4th, everybody. Let's hope we're around another 250 years. I doubt it. I don't even think we'll be here 50 years. Letting in people invading this country. Our politicians betrayed us. We're ruled by a bunch of communists. But let's do something. Let's do all we can. All right, so today we're diving into a massive interconnected thread running straight through the Bible. And if you ever felt completely alone in your faith, try doing what is right while the world goes crazy around you. If that's something you want to do, then listen up. Because this Torah portion kind of touches on that. We've all been alone. We've all felt unwanted at some time in our life. We all felt betrayed. Or we're standing alone. A one-man army. Abandoned, exiled, whatever it may be. But we're going to start in Numbers 25. The nation of Israel is completely compromised, falling into rebellion and idolatry. But one man, a priest named Phinehas, stands up for the righteous zeal to honor God when nobody else would. God rewards his individual courage by giving him a covenant of peace. This teaches us first lesson. God can use a single faithful heart, alter the trajectory of an entire nation, including this one, and your life for that matter. And then in 1 Kings 19, Let's just say if you're exhausted, you're tired of fighting, you're tired of being alone. But remember Elijah, when he won that massive spiritual victory, fearing and fleeing for his life from Jezebel, and he collapsed under the broom tree, and he felt all alone, and he wanted and he begged for God to take his life. Just crying out, and after one thing after another, whether it was the earthquakes and the wind and everything else, but God still spoke. He still spoke to him. He still led him in the right direction. God rewards his individual courage by giving him a covenant of peace. This teaches us our first lesson. God can use a single faithful heart to alter the trajectory of an entire community and even an entire nation. In 1 Kings 19, 1 through 18. But let's be honest, standing alone is exhausting. Fast forward to our next area of reading in 1 Kings 19. The great prophet Elijah has just won a massive spiritual victory, yet he finds himself fleeing for his life from Queen Jezebel. He collapses under the broom tree. He cries out to God, I am alone, and only I alone am left. Elijah felt entirely isolated, but God doesn't meet his burnout with a loud earthquake or a roaring fire. God meets him with a still small voice. God gives him a reality check. Shoot, we all need one. I have reserved 7,000 in Israel who have not bowed to Baal. When you feel completely isolated, remember that God's quiet whisper is louder than your anxiety. And he has always thought of a plan that you can't see. You ever hear that saying, God works in mysterious ways? We've all witnessed it in our own lives. In Jeremiah 1, what if you feel too young, too weak, or too unequipped to stand alone? That brings us to our third text in Jeremiah 1. God calls a young priest to be a prophet to a rebellious culture, and Jeremiah immediately makes excuses. Oh Lord, behold, I cannot speak, for I am a youth. Look at God's powerful response. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Do not say I am a youth, for you shall go to all whom I send you. Your sufficiency doesn't come from your age, your status. It comes from your sovereign God who designed you and your purpose before you drew your first breath. God has a plan for us all. It's up to us to respond and how we respond. And then in Romans 11, finally, with the Apostle Paul, writing centuries later, Paul explicitly quotes Elijah, his story, and prove a beautiful point about grace. Paul says, even so, then at this present time, there is a remnant according to the election of grace. This is the ultimate takeaway for your week. God has never and will never abandon his people. Throughout history, whenever the world walks away from him, from his truth and his ways, God preserves a faithful remnant. If you're striving to follow him today, you keeping his Torah, you're living a piece of that historical remnant. You are operating under your own strength, but pure, unmerited grace. We can't operate under our own strength. We'll collapse and fall. Which of these areas resonates most with you today? Is it Phineas, his zeal, Elijah's quiet whisper, Jeremiah's early calling, or Paul's reminder of grace? Think about it. Who can you relate to in the Word? Not just today's Torah portion. Are you running from Jezebel now? Are you exhausted, willing to give up? Are you sick of the evil that you see around you? Do not pack it up. Do not give up. Even though I know you feel like you're at the end of your line. I feel like that sometimes. I'm going through my own personal issues and stuff. But the one thing that keeps me going is God. Even if you're just hanging by a small string, you got to hold on to Him and do not let go. This world will eat you up. And if you try to walk through this world alone, it will eat you up. We are nothing without God, no matter how strong that we think that we are. No matter how our faith feels so sharp and all that time of tempering and making it a weapon, it will become super dull. You get around the wrong people, the wrong environment, because pretty soon it will eat away at you. It's like the old stories that you hear of, like, you hear people say that changed their lives. They used to be a rebellious person, or take for instance an alcoholic, you know, and they changed, they've been freed from the chains of booze, and they feel so great for what the Lord has done for them. And they want everybody to feel that good feeling that they have. But you would be a fool to go and hang out in a bar thinking that you're going to save everybody. You might go in there with the best intentions, full of zeal and on fire for the Lord, full of His Spirit. But I guarantee you, after a while, that environment will break you down. And pretty soon, you will not be talking about the Lord anymore. You're going to be drinking with the rest of them again. That's how this world is. It will eat you up and spit you out. We are nothing on our own. No matter how strong or wise we think we are, we need to be under His covering. And it's the same thing for you women out there. Stay under your husband's covering. And if he is lacking in his faith, just like the word says, you will win him over by your conduct. Do not give in to the ways of feminism nowadays, where nobody's vows mean nothing anymore. Stand up for what is right. Lead by example. Follow the Lord. Follow your convictions. Feel that tug on your heart that the Lord gives you. Hear that small voice when you know that you're doing wrong and whatever it may be. Listen to God's warnings that He gives you. Do not let this world eat you up. Especially in the world that we're in right now. God's covenant is unfailing. No one else can make a covenant with you like God can. Nobody will follow through like God can. This world has nothing to offer you. Now we, His children, this is our opportunity. God watches everything we do. He placed us in this time period for a reason. You want your country back? Then fight for it. But put God at the top of your priorities. Do not follow these corrupt politicians. We need to boot them out and gut this system. Implement God's system the way it was designed for. We allow all these pagan religions in our country. When they said freedom from religion, wasn't talking about Islam, all these false religions, Satanism. They're even putting Baphomet statues up in some city halls. This is a disgrace. What they were talking about, that they were talking about like Catholics and Protestants, different sects within Christianity, different doctrines, where one couldn't rule over the other or tell the other one what to do. They couldn't persecute the other one. They weren't talking about Islam and atheism or any of these things. This is a Christian country created by Western Europeans. That is the culture that founded this. And if you're a white person, I'm pretty sure you see what's going on all around you, and you've seen it your whole entire life. Well, you've been gaslit and lied to. You need to fight for yourself in that arena as well, because you're being genocided. You're being ethnically cleansed from each one of your home countries, whether it be here in the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Germany, Spain, France, the Scandinavian countries, you name it. Look around you. You need to start taking pride in your people, your race, your religion, your culture. Everybody else does, except for you, because you've been brainwashed not to. That you were doing something bad by doing so. You're not. You're not bad for that. Snap out of the spell that they put you under. Fight for your life, because your children and your children's children are depending on you right now. Fight for God. Fight for His word. Happy 4th, everybody. God bless you. Shabbat Shalom.